Okay, I now call the February 6th, 2024 regular meeting of the City Council to order. Our invocation this evening is going to be given by Erlanger Police Chaplain Brian Nevins. Thanks for being with us this evening. Thank you. Please rise for the pledge. All right, Ms. Softman, if you can please take roll.
Ms. Nicely? Present. Mr. Cahill?
Present.
Ms. Kyle?
Here.
Mr. Skidmore?
Here.
Mr. Hermes? Ms. Skidmore?
Here.
Ms. Reckers? Ms. Jasper Lucas?
Here.
Ms. Wilson?
Here.
All right, thank you. You've received a copy of the minutes from the January 2nd, 2024 regular council meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to be made at this time? Okay, seeing none, do I entertain a motion that we adopt as presented? Mr. Cahill, Ms. Kyle, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carried. You've also received a copy for tonight's agenda. Are there any additions to be made at this time? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion that we adopt as presented. Ms. Kyle, Ms. Jasper Lucas, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. All right, we do not have any special presentations this evening, so we'll move on to public comment. And thank you, Jason.
Yeah, just to preface to council, I know there was some chatter on email about wanting more information about the Housing Authority of Covington. We are going to discuss it at the caucus meeting, but Mr. Erlanger and Mr. Fisher were available tonight, not necessarily available for our caucus meeting, so they're going to speak during public comments tonight, and I think they would certainly be welcome to any questions you have. Again, I'm not short-circuiting our discussion in 2 weeks, but they were available for tonight, which is why I invited them for tonight.
All right, if you guys would like to come to the podium. Mr. James, I'll call you separate. I was just going to let them speak since he gave the introduction. Thank you. All right, and there should be a little dot, a red button maybe. There we go. All right, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Steve Erlanger. I am the Executive Director for the Housing Authority of Covington. I know there's some discussion about Section 8. I apologize that the future meeting after this, I'm going to be out of the country, so this is our only chance to be here for this presentation. I was here at the request of Mr. Gatlin just to kind of answer any questions, I guess, understanding of what the situation is in general. Just a quick synopsis of this. The city of Erlanger and the city of Covington entered into an interlocal agreement back in 1983. Fred Thomas was the mayor at the time, and it allowed for the city of Covington to operate the Section 8 program for assisted housing within the city of Erlanger. At the same time, simultaneously, they also entered into similar agreements with several other cities: Fort Mitchell, Fort Wright, Park Hills, Ludlow, Bromley, and Independence, I think it was. I think that others did as well, but we can't find the records that to support that to happen that way. I was a city councilman in Fort Mitchell at the time all this took place, so I only remember a little snippet about it from back then. And what has happened is the city of Covington and the Housing Authority of Covington, we are not directly associated with the city of Covington. We are a federal agency, and our only connection with the city of Covington directly is that the city appoints the board of directors that we operate under. So we do not report to the city of Covington. We don't answer to their financials. This is an anomaly, what we have here today, because the Housing Authority of Covington, we operate for the most part the public housing sector of housing, which is limited to the boundaries of the city of Covington. Section 8, on the other hand, operates across the entire county. So we would just be taking that agency, they're in our office right now. I walk past them every day. So that agency will be merged with us, and the same management people will still be in place to operate the program, but they'll be under our direction instead of the city of Covington. So other than that, no one will recognize any difference. There's approximately 1,200 units across Kenton County that are Section 8 housing. About 151 as of January 1st are located within the city of Erlanger. There's approximately 75 or 80 that operate out of the city of Ellesmere. There's at least 2 apartment complexes here in the community that I know that works closely with Section 8, the leadership of Section 8, Eagle Ridge Apartments, and Erlanger Ashwood. So those communities work closely with Section 8 housing. Other than that, most of it is individuals that might own a duplex here in Erlanger or a 4-family that might have 1 unit that they allow to operate under Section 8 housing. Every city in Kenton County has Section 8 housing in it today, except for the city of Edgewood. So why? I don't know. It's just how it is. So outside of that, that's a quick synopsis of it, and if there's anything I can answer in the way of questioning, I'll do my best. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to make sure I understand. So in other words, instead of the city of Covington, the Section 8 people that work under, I guess, city of Covington are now going to be working under the federal, and that's the only difference. The same people.
They will become employees of our agency.
Okay, I understand.
So the
Thank
same
you.
people will still be in place.
Yeah.
So you won't notice any difference here within the city. The landlords won't recognize any difference. It's just be a transition from the city operating the program to us operating the program. Across the United States, in 99.5% of all the agencies, they're both under one roof as we're trying to create now. So why it was separated, I don't know. Again, I wasn't there, predates me. It's just how it happened.
Yeah, it predates me too, because when I read it, I was like, what is this?
Yeah, so I have the original copy here with the city of Erlanger.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes.
I have quite a few questions. Do most housing authorities also own properties? Because you all own, I know you own 3 properties now, and City Heights is closing.
right?
So do most housing authorities
Yes.
in the state also own properties?
That's correct. And they're all federally funded agency, communities.
Okay. What are other cities in Kenton County doing as a result of this change?
I haven't heard anything. This is the first city that's requested someone to come speak. So the other cities have put their blessing on it at this point. So I'm available. I've told the mayor of Covington, if there's anybody that wants me to come and speak before those communities, I'd be more than happy to do so.
Okay. To me, continuing to call it the Housing Authority of Covington is somewhat of a misnomer because...
It's confusing to people.
But it is. I think it would be confusing because if I were a tenant, I would probably, and I was applying, I would probably think, oh, do I have to live in Covington? And may not realize. Are you all open to changing the name to Housing Authority of Kenton County? Because you will now be managing this process for all of Kenton County?
Because we will be, right now we're identified in two different names, if you will, within the federal government. We're Kentucky 002 Housing Authority, or Section 8's like Kentucky, I think it's 113. We will, because of a merger, we'll have to give up our name, they'll have to give up their name. We're going to have to merge and create a new name of whether that might be, that's undecided. We could still operate doing business as the Housing Authority of Covington. Right now, because we're in the same building and we have been for years, the general public who calls for Section 8 housing also calls our phone numbers and vice versa because they're totally confused and all they know is we are the center of where they come to get assistance.
I would just like to see the name change because I think it's confusing, personally. I would like to know more about what the procedures are for applying. I just Googled it because I don't know what the process is for a tenant or a landlord.
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure it out. So I would like to know, and this could be a separate conversation, but I would like to know what the process is as far as a tenant actually applying, and then I would like to know what the process is for a landlord applying to become a part of it. And I would like to know what the process is now, and then what the process will be after, if there's any change. I know you said there's not going to be any changes.
There won't be any change.
But I would like to know.
How the process works today is if you're a landlord, you call the city of Covington and you say, I would like to allow my unit to be rented out under a Section 8 program. So there's a list of, I don't know, 100 landlords right now who accept Section 8 housing. So you just have to put your name on a list, that's all you got to do. The tenant, on the other hand, has to apply for Section 8 housing, and it's income-based. So whatever their income is, whatever threshold they're at, there was a subsidy to make up the difference for what the rent amount would be. So they have to be under a certain income limit to be qualified for that. Once that process has begun and a tenant goes out to a unit to look at a unit that might be available, it's under Section 8, then the Section 8 Housing Department sends their inspectors out. They go out and check out the unit, make sure it's in habitable condition and that there's no problems with it. If that property is approved, they're permitted to move into that unit, and there's an annual inspection that comes along with that Section 8 goes out and inspects that unit annually to make sure that the conditions have not changed, and if there are repairs that be needed, or if it's unkept or unsanitary or whatever it might be, they're issued a notice to get that corrected. Then they come out and make another inspection of the property. If as long as it passes, then it can continue with their subsidy for another year. If it fails, they can be booted off of the Section 8 program. So the landlord's got a lot to lose as much as a tenant would. So by doing the annual inspections, there's incentive to keep the place in a nice livable condition.
When you say that somebody applies, do you mean they fill out a paper application? Do they
Yes.
apply online? Do they have to physically go in to an office to do this?
All of the above.
So they can do all of those things?
Correct.
So,
We have people to come in on a daily basis, but we also have some people who apply through the paperwork process. We are in the process as an agency right now, though. We're going to be acquiring some kiosks and at $40,000 apiece. We're acquiring 3 of those, and tenants or a potential tenant could come in and they can fill out all the paperwork on that kiosk as well. So I'm not sure about the online processing with Section 8. Like I said, we're just now in the process of taking it over. We've been working through them, all the financials and everything else that comes with it. So all of their precise procedures, I'm not necessarily able to answer.
I would just, because I know that there's a huge need.
Correct.
There's a huge need, and I don't want us creating even more barriers to folks being able to find it, to be able to apply and qualify for it. So that's why I have the questions about the procedures, because like I said, I Googled it and I couldn't figure it out. So I couldn't find anything that said, this is where you go if you want to apply online at all.
Right now,
So-
yeah, the easiest way to do it today is you go to the City of Covington, Kentucky's website, and under their menus, they'll find Housing Choice Vouchers or Section 8, or listed both ways. Under that website, you'll find all the contact information you need to make to reach out for Section 8 housing. So I do, you know, we have been improving all the technology at the Housing Authority, and the kiosks are, and we're also, between the kiosks and new software system we've been using for the past year and a half called Yardi, is allowing us to transition a lot more of everything we do to online opportunities. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible for individuals. We're also setting up computers with the kiosks, of course, that'll allow individuals to do things themselves. So, you know, we operate a number, besides Latonia Terrace, we also have City Heights, which we are shutting down. We also operate Golden Tower, senior citizen high-rise. So we have to adapt to all of the needs of everybody out there that we're trying to assist, and that's what we currently do.
Okay, and my last question is, so you said currently the City of Covington appoints the board.
Correct.
Will that change?
No.
So,
The mayor, what it is today is the mayor of Covington appoints the board of directors along with the support and the vote of the city commissioners. So it's not just the mayor by themselves, it's a vote of the commission. That part won't change. That's because, and that's set up that way because of an agreement between the federal government and the city of Covington. When this was initially done back in the 1930s, Covington at the time was 70% of the county population. So they made an agreement with the city of Covington. You allow us to put public housing in this community, limited to your community, because all the businesses were in that community, population was there. You do that, and you let us put public housing, and in return, we'll let you appoint a board of directors. So then the federal government reached out to the state, and it created this consortium, and here we are.
so it has to stay that way because that's how it's been since the 80s? Because, I mean, and this is nothing against Covington, I'm just saying,
This has nothing to do with the city of Covington.
well, I
Other than my
understand.
name and
I understand that, but they appoint the board. Their elected officials appoint the board. We don't get any say in that, even though we have 151 Section 8 properties in Erlanger.
If I may.
Wait, one more,
second,
just
Steve.
go ahead.
So, just so that we're clear, the Housing Authority of Covington is created by state statute. It can only operate within the city of Covington. It's entering into an administrative agreement with the city of Erlanger to operate an administrative function within the city. If they're not putting any public housing, and that's really what the board governs, they're handling an administrative function. And what you're suggesting, I understand your concern of wanting to
I'm not suggesting anything, I'm just asking questions.
excuse me, I didn't mean to imply that. What I meant was, by your question of asking about a board being added, it's a statutory process, and so it's not something that the Housing Authority of Covington or the City of Erlanger necessarily can change. And the purpose of the interlocal agreement, what we've put together, is really to be a working document so that If it isn't working for the city of Erlanger, you guys can terminate the agreement and decide to do something different to provide for those housing choice vouchers within your jurisdiction. So that answer, I'm trying to answer your question as to why that board won't change and why it will function. And really, as Stephen indicated, it's unusual for a city and a housing authority within the same jurisdiction to have the city operate Section 8 and the housing authority operate the public housing section. And really, this helps from an administrative standpoint to streamline it and to do a lot of the things that you had mentioned about trying to make it a one-stop shop for residents and make it better for them. And so hopefully that provides some background as to what you were asking.
Yeah, my only intention by asking these questions is there's a need, and I want to see the need met. And I don't want people to have a harder time because the folks who need this housing already are probably struggling, and that's why it exists. So the questions that I'm asking are simply, just to make sure that we're not signing up for something that's going to make it even harder for them. And I want to make sure that our interests are being represented, not just the folks who are elected by the residents of Covington. I'm not saying I wouldn't agree with them, but I might not. And they're selected by them. That's why I asked, because I didn't understand what the process was.
If I may, the only thing I can give you any peace with this whole thought process is that for 41 years, it's operated smoothly, and it's never been contentious with anybody at any point in given time. So we are trying to reach out. Now, I'll tell you this much. For the public housing side of things, we usually have a waiting list of well over 1,000 families, and we cannot satisfy their needs. In Section 8, same thing. There's a waiting list, a significantly long waiting list of applicants for Section 8. Those who need it, what happens is those who are in need of it usually get recommended to them, like by the Brighton Center or other agencies, social agencies, that say, contact Section 8. So there's a lot of resources out there for those who are in need that are able to find it. The problem we have is we actually need more landlords to sign up. And for whatever the reasons, not enough of them do sign up. So we could get more vouchers to assist families, but cities have to be willing to do something.
Thank you for answering all my questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Tom, I just have a question for you. You and I spoke on the phone, and I want you to explain, because I think it's important. You represent also the Newport Housing Authority.
That's correct.
And if you could kind of explain how Campbell County handles it through Newport.
Certainly. Campbell County actually has a somewhat unique structure in that the Campbell County, the fiscal court, actually operates a housing choice voucher program that it operates within certain jurisdictions of Campbell County. In addition to that, the Housing Authority of Newport operates a housing choice voucher program not only within the city of Newport, but within Fort Thomas and Bellevue and I believe Southgate, but I may be misstating Southgate, so I don't want to I don't want to overstate that, but they exist that way. And essentially, housing choice vouchers are different than public housing. They are, as Steve indicated, it's an administrative process whereby the federal government subsidizes rent for qualified individuals. Landlords can choose whether or not they want to be on that program. And so essentially what a housing authority does in this case, when it's managing in the way that the Housing Authority of Covington would do, is they're really doing the administrative functions. They're doing the inspections that Steve indicated to make sure that the housing is sanitary and safe for the resident, and then they're administering the payments so that the landlord receives their funds. And it really, beyond that, there isn't a great deal of administrative or planning or other authority that they have in terms of making decisions, as to how housing is going to operate within the jurisdictions of your city. Hopefully that addresses what you were asking, and this is not an uncommon thing to where a housing authority, especially as Stephen indicated, with the history of the housing authorities, both of Newport and Covington being population centers and being the housing authorities, it's not unusual for them to administer those programs for other cities that maybe were founded after those cities as a way to essentially streamline it and keep it as efficient as possible for all the jurisdictions.
Thank you.
Yep.
I appreciate you guys being here and explaining that in depth. I'm assuming all of the questions from council have been answered. Is there need for it to be on the agenda for the caucus meeting? Is there additional discussion that is not being had right now? Because now's the time. I mean, the people that could answer the questions, they're here.
Ms. Reckers was the one that had questions, I believe, and she's not here this evening, so
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes a difference or not.
I know.
I mean,
well,
I'm fine with it, but I don't know about other people.
And luckily, it's been recorded, so I hope she'll be able to go back onto the recording and then be able to talk to Jack about.
Yeah, and either one of you be open for any questions anyone has, right?
Yeah,
Outside of this meeting, I guess is what I'm saying.
yeah, I'll be here until, well, through Monday of next week. I won't be back until the 4th of March.
All right.
So I have my cell phone with me.
I don't get to go anywhere. Steve doesn't want to go anywhere, so
You'll be our guy, Tom.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Okay. All right. Andre James. Welcome. The microphone's already on.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members, and to the people of the City of Erlanger. I just want to introduce myself. My name is Staff Sergeant James. I work at the U.S. Army Recruiting Station here in Florence, Kentucky. I'm still kind of new to the area, but I know, I see Army recruiter. I know one thing is to recruit, but I want to extend my services to the City of Erlanger. If y'all had any type of programs or like events, I would love to volunteer. My battle buddies, my co-workers, they would love to volunteer for different events around the City of Erlanger. I can leave y'all my business card. I can leave you my business cards if y'all have any opportunities that come up in the city. And I just want to thank y'all for letting me speak, and that's all. I just want to make an introduction to the.
You said you're new to the area. Where are you from?
So I'm originally from Greenville, Mississippi.
Okay.
Been in the U.S. Army for 13 years, active duty. I recently just left Fort Campbell. Got we call it voluntold in the Army. Got voluntold to become a recruiter, and here I am.
So, first of all, thank you for your service.
Thank you for your support.
And how do you like Kentucky? Loaded question.
I will
Don't
say
ask.
this. I will say this. Me coming from a common area, if y'all want to know what I mean. Me coming from a area where I seen a lot of crime and like little violence when I was growing up. I'd rather be here. Luckily, I got my son enrolled around this area. It's actually a nice area. I cannot complain about it. So. I do have stores and everything, but we're not gonna get into it. But I do love this area. It's actually a nice area. Me and my wife were thinking about buying a house around the area. So I do have a son that attends Dixie Heights High School. So
Nice.
and school system is so much better. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Luckily, I got them in this area. So, but if y'all have any events or any volunteer opportunities, feel free to call me, call my station commander, and we'll come out here to support the city.
Okay. Do you want to give you guys the card? So this is Chief Rader and Chief Godsey. And Kevin Quinn. And Kara Kramer. It's nice to meet you. Yeah, of course. Thank you. Andre, I think you're the first Staff Sergeant Army recruiter that's come to council meetings, so you're a brave guy. Thanks for being here. All right, that concludes public comment. Okey-doke. All right, I do not have a mayor's report. City administrator's report. Mr. Glenn.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Just a couple things real quick. So when it comes to our caucus meeting on the 20th, we have a tentative agenda, and so I will take off the Section 8 housing voucher unless somebody contacts me, Sherry, or the mayor and wants that back on, for further discussions. But it sounds like we had a good presentation, and they're a good resource, so you can reach out to them. Duke Energy franchise tax will be on there for discussion. A small business grant ordinance, some revisions to that will be on the agenda, along with our towing bid franchise bid recommendations. And the last thing I had was the Board of Adjustments will be meeting on, having a public hearing on 6/26, 7 o'clock. And the Jimmy John's that's going to be constructed at the Colonial Cottage will be here to discuss some sign variances that they're asking for. So if you want to attend that, feel free on the 26th. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Gatlin?
Yes, we have a little legislation on tonight. First, we have the first reading of the insurance premium tax reduction, reducing it to 9.5%. That's just a first reading. Next, we have a surplus property, and this is a little unique. This might be the first time I think we've done this. Okay, I'm sorry. First time in a while we've probably done this. If you look, we are actually, these aren't the ones we're donating.
No, we're not.
Then forget everything I just said. That's why she looked at me like I was crazy. We were discussing donating to Goodwill or something like that instead of throwing away. So that's what, but strike everything I just said. I should have looked at it. Next, we're appointing Eric Rolfe to the open seat on the Board of Adjustments. And then finally, the purchase agreement was just executed about an hour ago by everybody on the property. A copy of that purchase agreement is attached. Do apologize we didn't get it out sooner. I did not want to send anything out until we actually had it executed. So we are anticipating, again, as was previously discussed, that is for the purchase of the Be Concerned property, both parcels for $425,000. The only two contingencies that remain is approval of this council and the title report. So we have requested that from a third-party vendor, and we should have that in the next few days. So if this resolution passes tonight, our anticipation is we would close in the next 4 to 5 days. That's all I have, Mayor. Yeah, we do. We do.
All right. Mr. Quinn, report on capital projects.
Thank you, Mayor. First off is a Public Works facility. As everybody knows, we're in winter. Things are coming slow on that project. They are waterproofing the administration building on the outside. K&W is working on conduit through both buildings, getting them to the sprinkler pit and some underdrain in the administration building. Cahill Commons playground equipment should be installed mid-March. Followed by the basketball court and landscaping. The Public Works Department is working on the sign. We're going to do that in-house. We've ordered the sign, and the sign should be here probably at the end of March, and we've ordered some stone to do that in-house for Cahill Common. Silver Lake Phase 3 was advertised. Bid openings will be February 23rd. To start Phase 3 of Silver Lake. And Pleasure Isle, finally got the electric off the pole there. The pole's been removed, and Smith Construction will be starting the pier wall down there the first part of March. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Any other department heads want to give reports? Ms. Hoffman?
The only thing that I have for tonight is if you were to visit our website, we do have a new event calendar on there, and it gives you the option where you can subscribe to it. So it's very easy to use. You just go in there, hit the button, and the events will show up on your own personal calendar. And then for the other departments, if you want any events to add on there, just get with us and we can add it to that calendar as well. And that's all I have.
Okay. All right, are there any reports from task forces? Ms. Nicely?
The Parks Task Force meeting met this evening, and we went over some, ideas of the next 3 years and just kicked around some ideas of what we will possibly be doing that can change, but we went over like a 3-year plan, and that's all I have. Oh, I did want to thank Chief Rader for the great training that Officer Eagler is doing on the firearms. I was an observer and participated, and I really enjoyed being an observer with real live officers getting critiqued. Great job, and you still have time to get a hold of Eagler and take advantage of it. It's great, very enlightening what you all go through. Thank you.
Any other task forces? Okay. Bids this evening. Ms. Hoffman?
I think Mr. Quinn has the first one for the road and sidewalk improvements.
Yes, so Northway Drive, Circlewood Drive, and Pleasure Isle was put out to bid. We had 3 bidders. The low bid was $954,753. All 3 bids were within $101,000 of each other, so a very competitive bidding process, and we'll be setting up a pre-construction with and contract signing with regular blacktop to move forward. Thank you.
Okay, and the second one?
So we did another surplus property online auction in January, and we had 2 police chargers on there, and the total auction revenue for that was $11,760. So I thought we did very well with that. And then the only other things we have for bids, I know that Mr. Quinn had mentioned that Silver Lake Phase 3 has been advertised. We're also advertising for the towing franchise as well. And that's all.
Okay. Do we have any unfinished business this evening? Any new business? Okay, legislation.
All right, first we have an ordinance of the City of Erlanger in Kenton County, Kentucky, amending ordinance 2241 in sections 113.013 of the Erlanger Code of Ordinances to reduce the insurance premium tax to 9.5%. What is underlined is what is being changed. What is struck through is what is being deleted, and you can see in both cases the insurance premium tax goes from 9.75% to 9.5%.
Okay. Ms. Hoffman, if you can note in the minutes the first reading of this ordinance.
This municipal order of the City of Erlanger in Kenton County, Kentucky, making the written determinations required by KRS 82083 for the sale or other disposition of property owned by the city. And as is indicated, we are going to be surplusing a large round table and 2 black desk chairs, and they both will be sold by electronic auction.
Okay, do I entertain a motion that we adopt this municipal order as read? Ms. Kyle, Ms. Nicely, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Sorry. Next, we have a municipal order of the City of Erlanger in Kenton County, Kentucky, approving the appointment of Eric Rolfe as a member of the Board of Adjustment for the City of Erlanger to fill the vacancy therein resulting from the resignation of Steve Conley. That is a term that will end in January 2026. It is the unexpired term.
Okay, do I entertain a motion that we adopt this municipal order as read? Ms. Kyle, Ms. Jasper Lucas, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Congratulations.
All right, finally, we have a
You're one of us
resolution.
now.
I'm sorry.
You're one of us now, Eric. We'll get you a badge.
All right, next we have a resolution of the City of Erlanger, Kentucky to approve the City of Erlanger acquiring 525 Graves Avenue and Watson Road. There is no address on that. Watson Road is that very small sliver of land that's kind of adjacent to it. Again, the acquisition price is $425,000, and there will also be customary title insurance and closing costs associated with this transaction.
Okay, do I entertain a motion that we adopt this resolution as read? Mr. Cahill, Ms. Kyle, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Congratulations, guys. We have a building now. All right, are there any announcements this evening? Okay. Do I entertain a motion that we adjourn? Ms. Nicely, Ms. Kyle, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Have a good evening.